program at William Mary is really great, but it is more focused on research, right? And as I was taking my classes and stuff like that, I realized that I didn't really want to do research. And research is awesome and it's very important, but it's not for me. And so I knew as I was walking through these courses that the piece that really engaged me was the human experience and the human interactions and the relationships and what makes a good parent and what makes a supportive parent and things like that. And so I knew I wanted to work with people directly. And so I had to go and find a program that would give me that. And it was really hard, but I found something and went right into it because I already knew what I wanted to do. So I told myself, like, why wait? Why put it off another year?
Good for you.
Yeah.
But when you went to Boston, were you scared? Like, were you nervous? Did you have fears, or did you feel really confident? Like, this is what I want to do. I'm going for it. Stay out of my way.
Oh,
like, how did you feel?
It was really scary because it was the first time that I was in. Well, it was, I guess, the second time because being in Williamsburg, it was very new to me too, and no one from my high school there. But this was like the second time that I was in an environment where I was by myself. My family was super far away. They were in Virginia. And I had to start from zero in making friends. And it's a very scary experience. It's like starting at college all over again. But on top of that, I had all these adult responsibilities of like trying to find a job and like trying to pay my rent and also study. And it was really, really intense. And then while I was working through my program, like I was really intimidated by a lot of my classmates because they all seemed to be more on top of it than I did. Like, and I think a lot of that has to do with that like pressure we feel to one up each other, you know, to show that I can do this. Like I got all this experience, like I've worked with this population before, but no one had done counseling, but everyone was like sharing their own past like resume points, and it was really intimidating because I had no research in my background in like undergrad. I hadn't really done much work being in different like volunteer roles or internships. Like I didn't do much. Like I volunteered at a school, but you know, like I guess that didn't feel like equivalent to what other people were sharing. So it was like just intimidating. But as I went through the program, I got to know people. Like I realized like we were all on the same page. I think we were just all so nervous that everyone felt like they had to share how awesome they were.
Yeah, that is so typical. I mean, I remember when I went to business school, I felt the same way. Like, oh my God, these people did all these things. They've lived all over the world. They went to boarding school. I was
exactly.
Like, how did I get in? You know?
Yeah.
Like, what happened? They must have made a mistake. But you earned your spot. You went to the College of William and Mary. You struggled through it. You got good grades. You had this passion. Probably your passion helped you a ton. And
I hope so.
yeah, for sure. And so so you realize like, oh my God, I'm just everybody else is in the same boat. That's so cool. Yeah, I love that. I mean, did you love Boston as a city, or did you prefer? Obviously, you went back to DC when you graduated, but
yeah. So I think what brought me back to Virginia was that I always kind of went into this field and out into the world just to get my whatever profession I ended up doing, with the idea that I wanted to give back to my community at some point.
Oh, that's so cool.
And it initially was like, I'm going to be a doctor and I'm going to like serve my community. And then later on it was, I'm going to be a like teacher or whatever. Like I went through different ideas as a child, but I always wanted to go back and do something. So that was a big factor. I mean, my family was another big factor, but I did love Boston, the city. And actually a lot of my classmates from grad school stayed there. There's a big like need for mental health therapy over there. Like it's a really comfortable, known thing, and so there's all these like, different agencies, private practices. It's thriving. So I could have stayed, but I think at the end of the day, like these other factors, my family and my desire to be back home, serving this community, that's what pulled me back.
Well, that's really strong and powerful, and it's what novels are made of. I mean, it's really awesome that you did that. I mean, it's like you have your spot in heaven all carved out for you. I mean, but wait, as I speak of novelists, you are an aspiring novelist, which is so cool that you're taking this and tying them all together. Your career, your experience, your art, all
Yeah.
of that. It's like, I can't wait to see this book. How is it coming along?
So I have been working, I think the aspiring part comes in, like, I've been writing, but I have not yet been published. And that is like what I've realized has been the hardest thing, because you need to find someone who thinks that you have what it takes to be like, for other people to want to read your stuff. And it takes just one person believing that for you to really hit the ground running. But I'm having a hard time finding that one person. But I'm writing like crazy. Like I've hit different points where I've been like, I don't want to do this anymore. Like no one's ever gonna like publish me, but I can't not write. Like it's just I don't know. I've tried. I can't stop. And so yeah, it's just and I think even as I like when I present myself to people, like being a therapist, that's who I am. But like it's hard not to think of this other side of me that's very much a part of it too.
I mean, there's so much out there with self-publishing right now, and because this is
Yeah.
such an in-demand thing, I have faith that it's going to work out. You just keep it going. I mean, you can't. You're
Thanks.
like you said, like it's definitely gonna work. It's just timing, and it's like the universe hears you, and I have faith. I mean, I was part of a book that became a bestseller. It's called The Better Business Book Volume 2, and I was part of it was a co-author book. So like there were 100 stories. So 100 authors. So everybody wrote a chapter. So that's also something you could think about. There's those kind of models out there too, where you can start small, and then build on it.
Right. Yeah. 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 I think a lot of it is just being creative about how you find your way in, but it's about getting in, right? And then once people know who you are, then you can maybe start getting that ground working for you.
Yeah, but it's you're getting your work out there and your voice out there, and you have a blog, and you just get your content out there, and then people will, relate to
Yeah.
it in your community, in your tribe, and then it happens. It will happen.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's a big point of why I started the blog. Like one, like I wanted to write, to have a space where I could share the poetry that I write, where I could share my thoughts about a lot of the issues related to mental health and my community, and just feel like I'm communicating that to someone. And like I want it to be more of like a conversational space, and I hope that at some point it can become that. And that's kind of why I wanted to create that. Like, it just have this space where I can share these thoughts and have conversations about them, and also voice a lot of these things that I'm seeing out to the world. And I mean, writing novels is kind of part of that too, but in a different way, like in a more like creative way. But I think all of these things together like help give me that space that my voice is getting out there.
I think it all ties together. I think it's also cohesive. I think it all works together. Yeah, it's pretty cool. So keep it up. And we're getting ready to wrap up the show, but I wanted to just ask you, from your perspective, what advice you would give your younger self, like as you're launching, so for these women that are going from college to life, would you have like one piece of advice for them?
Yes. I think that there is a lot of pressure out there for women to, and for anyone really, but specifically for women, that there is like a specific path that you have to follow, and that it is linear. And it definitely isn't, and it doesn't have to be. I mean, if we think about it in the expectations that society has for us, like we should get married, we should have children, like that's it. They're like, to the fact that how we perceive our careers, right? Like we see them as like, you need to go to college, you need to get your first job, you need to get a different role in that job, a leadership position. Like that's the only way that you'll succeed. It doesn't work that linearly. It doesn't have to. Like I think you can be creative with what you do with your life. And that's the beautiful thing about it. You can kind of choose what you want to do. I mean, like even as I look at my career as a therapist, like I think initially I walked into it thinking that, okay, I have to be working with this population and I have to go to this one and then I have to supervise and get my license and maybe even direct the program, blah, blah, blah. But it doesn't feel like it needs to work out that way anymore. Like now I've gone to a space where I'm like, okay, I'm going to make this little part work. I'm going to be a novelist on the side. I'm going to have this blog over here. And I feel happy with that. I think that that's the best way to create happiness for yourself, is to know that there is no linear path and there's no like stairway to heaven that you need to take. It's just about you carving out that space for yourself.
Amazing. I think that just gives people a big sigh of relief, you know, like don't be so stressed. Yeah, I mean, especially coming from you, the person that helps people deal with stress, you know. Amazing.
Yeah.
So yeah, and you're like walking the walk and you're talking the talk and walking the walk. It's like it's the perfect storm. So thank you for that, for sharing. Thank you for sharing your story, and for being with us here tonight on the Hero Whispers. The best way for people to connect with you, would that be your Instagram?
Yes, my Instagram or my blog as well. There's a section where you can leave comments, and then I'm more than happy to get in touch with anyone through there too. Yeah, I'm happy to talk any of the stuff that I just talked about right now with anyone. Like I think that there's a lot of questions to be had. There's a lot of spaces where we are not necessarily sure where to go next, and I want to be like as much of a guide for other people as I can.
Thank you for offering that. For so generous, everyone, listeners, her blog is LaTerapistaRoquera.com. And we have to wrap up. So thanks again, Yessie, for being here. Thanks, listeners. Get out there, slay those dragons. Thanks for being with us here on the Hero Whispers.
Thank you.